Hola! So today I have decided to do you probably know from the title, my first times video. A lot of people do them. A lot of people used to do them. Sometimes there would be like trick videos where you thought it was going to be about the first time they had sex, when they lost their virginity, and then it would be like, the first time I ever went to Disneyland, and literally nobody cares about that. I'm sure nobody cares about this, but I've had a few first times because not only am I attracted to men and women, but I've been both a man and a woman. So that's 4 first times for me. Wait, is it? There was the first time I had sex with a woman, the first time I had sex with a man, and then the first time I had sex as a woman. And then we'll just do 3. I mean, they're probably all pretty much the same. The first time I ever had sex was in high school, and it was actually with 2 girls, and a lot of people don't believe that, and I worked with them. We were pretty good friends, I guess. We're good enough to have sex with. And I think one was turning 16-ish, so I would have been about 15, and the 3 of us had a threesome. We got really drunk. I don't know if I can say this on YouTube, because I guess I'm not underage now, and what can anyone do? But at the time, we were 15, 16, we had been drinking, and we decided to have a threesome. We thought it would be really funny. We were playing Spin the Bottle, the whole 3 of us. There was no one else there. It just was us. So we had a threesome, and it was fun, but I knew straight away it wasn't my thing. And clearly, I switched teams pretty quick. I think I have spoken about the first time I had sex with a man in interviews before. I'm sure there's a few interviews you can find, and in other videos I've talked about the first time I had sex with a man, as well as on TV I've spoken about it. And but you haven't seen that yet, it's not out yet, but you will, and I'm just gonna spoil it for you. So I would have been about 16, 17, and I was talking to a guy online. This was before Instagram, or Instagram was out and not like a thing, or it wasn't like where you like met people to hook up, that's for sure. But that's if it was out. I'm not 100% sure that Instagram was out then, but we have been talking on Facebook. That was like the place to be back then. There was like Facebook and Formspring, and MySpace had kind of just died. Some people were still using Twitter, but we met on Facebook, and he was really cool, really hot. He was like tall, tan, blonde, buff. I thought he was gorgeous. I'm sure that if I saw him now, he probably would not be that good looking to me, but at the time I thought, wowee, aren't I lucky? And he was like, let's hang out, let's like do something, you know, let's go for a drive. He had his license, so I don't, and I certainly didn't then. I can do a whole other video about my license, and me driving, and why that's a terrible idea, but he had his license, so he would have been about 17, 18. He definitely was older than me, but not by that much. And we went for a drive, and I was like, oh my god, like, it's gonna happen. Like, I don't know if I had even, like, kissed a boy at that point, or, like, let alone, like, done a hand job or, like, below job or anything like that. But I was like, I know what's happening tonight, and I think I was excited. I was probably really nervous, but and he probably could tell as well, although I'm sure I thought I was putting on a brave face. But we're driving around my area. There's like there back where I used to live, there was like a little outlook, and I used to live with my grandparents. It would have been around this time, and I think I was home alone. I was either home alone or my grandfather was asleep. and I left the house. And so he picked me up. It was his dad's car. It was a Mercedes. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is cool. Like, he comes from money as well. Like, it's gonna be perfect. Like, what a dream boat. I'm sure this is gonna, like, work out. We're gonna be in love forever, is probably what I was thinking. And yeah, we drove around. We drove up to this lookout, and he was like, isn't it pretty? And I was like, yeah, it is. Like, probably not talking that much, because in social settings, I actually don't talk too much unless we've, like, known each other, like, quite a bit. Then good luck trying to get me to shut up. But at that time, I'm sure I was trying to be coy about it all. And, you know, just try and be shy and delicate and petite is probably what I was going for. As well as, like, so nervous and, like, shit scared and, like, what if this guy kills me is more realistic to what I would have been thinking. And then we, like, get out of his car. We sit on the hood of his car, I remember. And the reason I remember this is because we were sitting next to each other. And like I said, he was, like, quite buff. I certainly was not. I would have been about 30 kilos. I was very underweight, and tan and blonde and, like, living my best life. But I was sitting next to him. He, like this, next to him. And the Mercedes thing, that, you know, the hood ornament was in between us. And we started making out, okay? Keep in mind the hood ornament is between us. We started, like, making out, and I'm sure my heart was, like, racing, and I was like, oh my God, I want to die. Like, oh no, I can't believe I'm really doing this. And then he grabs me and, like, pulls me over onto him. And when he did that, and I had a huge cut on my thigh from this, my leg hit the hood ornament, cut myself, it got jammed between his leg and my leg and kind of bent. Like, I don't know, it's like this, and it kind of went like, I don't know, it doesn't matter, it bent. You get the idea. I don't think he noticed. I knew I had hurt myself, but I was like, whatever, you know, it is what it is. And so we're, like, making out, and then I, like, put my hand down his pants and, you know, start feeling around. And then, sure enough, I end up doing what I do best, sucking his dick. And then he's like, I want to fuck you. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, do you want me to fuck you? And I'm like, sure, I guess. Well, we didn't have lube because I didn't know it was going to be that important. I thought you'd just be able to slide it in there. You can't. That didn't stop us, unfortunately, because, one, it was really painful. Now, he wasn't that big, so whatever. We got it in and we got it done. But it really hurt, because obviously it's anal. He went in and just pounded away, so to speak. And it burnt. It really burnt. Like, I can't describe it, but it just was like friction burn on the butthole. Imagine friction burn on the butthole. If you've ever done anal without lube, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let alone the first time you do anal. It was very painful. Everything was fine-ish. You know, yada yada. And then we're done. We get in the car. I'm like, oh my God, like, what have I just done? Like, oh my God, I'm a sinner. I'm going to hell. I'm gonna burn in hell. I'm, you know, the devil's child. I mean, I was already the devil's child, but, you know how you get in your head about these things. So, I go home. I'm still in a little bit of pain. So, I go and have a bath, and I get in the bath, and there's a little bit of blood, like, that's all I'm gonna say, but there was like a little bit of blood, and particularly when I got out of the bath, and then obviously like the water runs off you, and like so does the blood. So I was freaking out. So I thought I was gonna die. I thought I was gonna get like E. coli or like all kinds of things. Yeah. I was like, oh my god, like this is, we used protection. Okay, so I wasn't worried about STDs. That's something else I should have mentioned when I mentioned we had no lube. Obviously, most condoms have like a little bit of lube on them, which is probably how we managed to get it in, but the rubber or latex of the condom plus no lube only makes it worse. I'm sure he would have, I don't know how he managed, because what, I don't mean to brag, but I was really tight, obviously, my first time, and no lube, like, he would have been getting more friction burn than I would have been, because the condom kind of, like, sat there, and he was kind of, like, moving in between it. Not to, like, get graphic and disgusting, but that's just, what was happening. And I'm, like, leaning in like I'm telling you guys a secret when really everyone can watch this. But that's what was happening. So anyway, I'm worried about, like, what could happen. Have I, like, am I gonna, like, prolapse? Like, I'm gonna have to go to the doctor. But I go to bed. I tell myself everything's okay. I go to bed. I wake up in the morning, and this is, like, too many details, but it was so itchy from the friction burn. Walking was like, I want to die. This is like, what, I can't even think of a similar kind of, because it was like friction burn, but then, like, I guess it was healing, and like, what an uncomfortable place to have friction burn. So it was very that. If you've experienced it, you know exactly what I mean. And like, I was like, oh my god. So I put Vaseline on the area. Okay. That helped, I guess. And then I was like, oh no, like, what if I do have an STD? We used a condom, but like, condoms aren't like everything. Like, I could have an STD. Am I gonna die? Like, so much like sexual anxiety that I just in general, I get a lot of sexual anxiety, and that's a whole other story that we can talk about down the track. But like, I was like, oh my god. So I like went, I would describe the feeling of like sunburn. It was like sunburn, but if the sunburn was rubbing against itself. I'm sure you guys don't care about that. But anyway, so I went to the doctor, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to tell my doctor. He's gonna tell my mom, like, I'm gonna be in so much trouble, like, anything could have happened to me, like, what if I have HIV, syphilis, hepatitis, like, all of this stuff. I was literally crying. The doctor was like, look, it's very low risk, and it looks like it's just friction burn, and, like, just put this cream on it, like, you used a condom, did the condom break, like, do you want to do, like, a swab test and a blood test, like, all of this stuff. I think we only did a swab test, which, if I had caught something, like, a swab test is only going to tell me, like, a few things. But anyway, that's how we handled it. Everything ended up being fine, and I invested in a lot of lube, I can tell you that much, and it was not the last time I had sex. I will tell you that. It was not the last time I did anal. After that, I guess I just figured I'd get it together. Anyway, that's those two. Those two, like, probably aren't that important, because, I mean, when you're a teenager, it's all bad. But so we'll talk about the first time I had sex after my transition. And that was about And I'm using I mean, you know, there's different stages of transitioning. Obviously, there was when I started hormones and, like, when I had work done on my face. But I would consider, after I had my boobs done, I had been on hormones for however long and decided to stop taking them. But, you know, they had taken effect. I had changed my name legally. I had had work done on my face. All of that stuff. So at that point is when I would say, like, the first time I had sex as a woman. You may disagree, you may have other opinions, that's perfectly fine. I'm not here to argue about what you think of my transition or anything like that. So we'll just go from post-boob job, okay? Post-boob job coitus. That was, you know, people talk about the trans high when you first begin your transition and you think you're, like, the only woman because you're probably as feminine as you've ever been. People are probably starting to refer to you as a woman. People are acknowledging it. So you think you are the one and only woman on earth. You're the last woman. You're the only woman. Like, you're unclockable. All of that. So I had my boobs done. I'm sure you guys have heard the story about me getting my boobs done like 1,000 times now. But I got my boobs done and I kind of went through that trans high phase where I was like, I'm it. I was going to the local bar like every 2 nights, like flirting flirting my way around the bar. I never initiate. That's one thing. I never initiate a interaction at a bar because I feel like that could be dangerous for me, and also I kind of don't care that much. But I was like, oh my god, all these guys are hitting on me. I am it. I am the one. I am Mariah herself. I was wrong, but anyway, I meet this guy. At the bar. We're talking, and then I'm like, I'm going home because I need to take painkillers because I just had my boobs done. They're literally still bandaged up, like this, like not just like the incisions bandaged up, but like bandaged up and in kind of thing. So I need to go sort my life out, but we should totally catch up sometime, if you know what I mean. And he was super hot. He looked like Nick Jonas, which I was obsessed with Nick Jonas at the time because I would go home, take some painkillers, which we all know what happened with the painkillers, but I'd take some painkillers, I'd watch a movie called Goat on Netflix that has Nick Jonas in it, and I just was like, oh my god, like, what a hottie. That opinion changed as well. Oh, how I switch it up like that. I'm a fickle friend, let me tell you. Anyway, I thought this guy was super hot. I thought he was so funny and cool, and like he had his own logistics company, and like he had money. He also was in the middle of a divorce and had 2 kids, which I seem to like not even think about or care about. He may as well have like not told me because I was like, like I'm sure that's working out fine, whatever. So anyway, we meet up at his place. After I finish work, I go straight to his place. And he had just moved in to this place because, again, he was in the middle of a divorce. Did he drive a Mercedes as well? I actually think he did. I've never put that together, but he drove a C-Class. I'm not sure what the other Mercedes was, but this guy, I'm really tempted to use his real name because I literally do not give a fuck about him. I hate him so much, and I'll get into why. But he does have family, and they probably don't need me, like, ripping on their dad or their brother or whoever, so let's call him Andre, because I don't think I know an Andre. I probably do know an Andre, but anyway, we'll call him Andre. So Andre's in the middle of a divorce, which I decided to ignore. Which means the place we went to, and it was at the Meriton, it was, it's like a pretty nice apartment, but there was hardly anything in it. I guess, you know, these things happen in the middle of a divorce. At least this is what he was telling me. I mean, I never really verified this, but I'm just gonna take his word for it because he did seem to have money, so I don't imagine, unless he was hardcore fronting and lived in, like, there was an air mattress and a iMac, and that was about it, other than, like, clothes and stuff. Like, it was quite clear he had just moved in. And I had sex with him on an air mattress. So that's not the worst of it. Like, that's probably... No, that probably is the worst of it, but that's not the cringiest of it. So I go to his place from work because he picked me up in his little Mercedes. And I was like, okay, cool, like, good and fresh, we're going to the Meriton. Now, what I'll tell you about the Meriton is you don't want to... But maybe you don't get as crazy as I do during sex, but the last kind of lighting I want to be in after sex is supermarket lighting or the lift in the Meriton. It's not flattering, it's terrible, and I'm sure he... Well, no, he didn't have a problem with how I looked. We'll get to that. I keep saying we'll get to that. Trust me, we'll get to that, but what I'm saying is we go to his place, forever in the lift because he's so high up, the light's bright. We go to his air mattress. It at least had a sheet on it and, you know, a duvet and all of that. I'm like, whatever. I mean, at least he's hot and it's big. It is what it is. I take my clothes off, okay? And I had only just taken the bandages off my breasts, so, like, it was still, like, fresh, first experience, like, let me tell you. He's completely naked, I'm completely naked, I'm kneeling on an air mattress. And he looks at me and he says, I thought I was gonna have to go to Thailand for this. What? You thought what? I'm sorry, Why? Why did you have to say that? Why did you just have to trivialize me? You could have just not said that. And I know that he meant it as like, oh my god, you're so exotic. Like, how could I be so lucky to be with a lady like you? A lady boy like you is what he meant. I was like, is this a fucking joke? Like, how embarrassing. And what's more embarrassing is I still had sex with him. And he was super weird. Like, so... Like, I can't even describe it. I think it just was his energy more than anything he was doing. But that was that. And then he drives me home. Everything's good and fresh. He's like, oh, do you want my number? Because we had just been Snapchatting, so it wasn't like... He just, like, gave me a Snapchat at the bar, and, like, that's how we were communicating. And I was like, yeah, okay, like, sure. He gives me his number. I go inside, I text him. And I'm like, I have a feeling this just isn't his number. So I call it, and it's not his number. It's just like a dead number, obviously his old number. And I'm like, why even offer me your phone number? Like, literally, why? And this is my biggest problem with men. Like, any fight I've ever gotten into with a man, like an argument with a man that I've been seeing, has been about them initiating a lie. Like, if I'm like, give me your number, and you don't want to give me your number, and you're like, I don't want to give you my number, and then, then you give me a fake number. I understand that, but why be like, do you want my number, and then give me a fake number? Just don't give me your number. I literally don't care about you. You literally don't matter to me. So anyway, I'm like, whatever, what a fucking weirdo. He sends me a Snapchat a few days later, and then I Snapchat him, and then I'm like, I haven't heard from him. And he blocked me on Snapchat, and I was like, look, he's in the middle of a divorce. I totally get it. seemed to me like it was the first time he ever slept with a trans woman. Probably, you know, is dealing with some things. I get that. It's fine. I really don't care. So then a few months roll around. I'm living in a new place. I'm living my best life. Was I seeing someone? What's so weird, and this is kind of weird. So a few months later, I'm living in a new place. He messages me and he's like, hey, sorry, you know, I got a little weird and like everything with the divorce, and I just didn't know how to feel about it all. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't care. Why did you give me a fake number? And why did you offer your phone number to me if you were going to give me a fake number? Like, are you a fucking loser? Plot twist, he is. And he was like, oh, I want to see you. I want to come see you. And I was into it. I was like, this guy's a fucking dick, but the dick's good. So it's fine. I'm not trying to marry the guy. And he was like, oh, I want to see you. And I was like, I actually can't. The reason I couldn't was because I saw the guy that saved me from my pill addiction. So that worked out well. And then the day after, he was like, oh, like, can I come over? And I was like, yeah, like, here's my address. Come over. He's like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, have you left yet? And he's like, no, I'll leave in like 30 minutes. 30 minutes go by, and I'm like, have you left yet? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna leave now. And I just had this odd feeling. I did not get ready at all. So that should have been sign enough. For whatever reason, I just was like, I'm not getting ready. Like, he can show up if he wants, but like, I really don't care. He never showed up. And he blocked me on Snapchat again. And I was like, the fuck? Like, what the fuck are you doing? 1 month after that, he messages me and is like, hey, that's it. And I'm like, hi, like, is there something you wanted to say? I've been waiting in the same spot. I thought you were gonna show up. I mean, obviously I wasn't, but I was like, what the fuck is your problem? You are a fucking idiot. You're a fucking loser. You need to get your shit together. You need to grow up, man up, nut up, buttercup. What the fuck are you doing? You know, like, I'm not gonna play these games. I don't know what girls you talk to that want to jump through hoops for you, but I'm not the one. I'm just not the one. Try it with absolutely every other bitch out there. Fine, but not with me. I'm not the one. And he's like, I'm really sorry. I'll make it up to you. Like, I'll be your sugar daddy. And this is, I have a whole other issue with men saying that they want to be my sugar daddy when it comes down to it, they actually don't, and they think that saying that is what I want to hear. But then if you can't deliver on that, we're gonna have a bigger issue, and 110% I will see you in court, because verbal contracts are legally binding and I get details up front, sweetie. So unless you're looking for a Dawson lawsuit, maybe don't lead in with that, because I will fuck you and your whole life over. I get so fucking mad when men's like, just lie. Initiate a lie. Why are you initiating a lie? Like, I will do 20 to life at some point over a man lying to me. I'm not even kidding. If you initiate a lie with me, I'm gonna lose my mind, and I will go for blood. I will do absolutely everything I can to make sure your life is hell if you initiate a lie with me. I will call your mother on her deathbed and let her know that it was you that stole her tennis bracelet when you were 16. I will do whatever I have to. Don't initiate a lie with me, because no one's even lying to me right now, and the thought of it happening, I'm so furious. Let alone when it does happen, I like go in, and you can ask any man that has ever messaged me and tried any shit with me how vicious I get verbally, let alone if I feel like you have actually fucked me over. Like, normally it's just like, you're being a fuckwit and I'm gonna cut you down to size and you're gonna feel terrible about yourself afterwards, and they always do. Normally it's that, but if I feel like you've actually fucked me over, watch the fuck out, because I'm not I'm not just a all talk type of bitch. So just a heads up to anyone. I know I'm getting very angry. I wasn't expecting to get this angry. I was expecting to just be like, haha, the 3 times I had sex, ha. But now I'm furious and I want to call this guy and be like, what the fuck? So anyway, he was like, I want to be your sugar daddy. I want to look after you. And I was like, yeah, all right. Like, what a loser. One, you can't buy love. And I don't know who's telling these men you can, but you can't. And sweetie, I've got at least 2 brain cells, so this bullshit's not gonna work with me. I just like rip into him. I'm like reading him. I don't want to get into details, but there was some things that needed to be pointed out to him where he should come down a peg or 2. And then he blocked me because I guess, you know, he had to get out of the kitchen because, you know, he couldn't handle the heat or whatever the saying is. And to this day, I hear from him every 3 months. He'll unblock me on Snapchat, and you're probably thinking, why don't you just block him? I kind of enjoy it. I'm gonna be honest. I kind of enjoy it. Like, every single time I just get to rip into him, and I'm like, what? Do you think it's gonna be different this time? Do you think I slipped in the shower and broke my brain, and this time I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm really into you, and I want to put up with your shit. I want you to use me. I'm really, really looking forward to that. No! Fucking idiot. Oh my god, I'm so mad. You have no idea. Oof. Like, why do men initiate lies? I don't get it. It's like, I'm gonna be fine if you just don't talk shit. Like, if you're like, hey, I want to come over for sex, I'm gonna know that you're coming over for sex. But if you're like, I really want to be with you, and you don't, which, by the way, I'm gonna know if you want to be with me or not, so there's no point in fucking lying about it. Like, why initiate? Like, they initiate so many lies. Like, this one guy, and I'm gonna do a whole video on this guy, because he makes me so angry. He was like, yeah, like, I want to stay over the night, and I'm like, no, you don't. And then literally as soon as, like, who are you kidding? No, you don't. Why are you saying that? Dude, like, I don't want that. Let alone you wanting that. As soon as he got here, he was like, oh, you know, I've got to get up early in the morning. I'm like, again, no, you don't. And you're digging your way out of your own lie that you didn't need to tell. So I was like, oh, really? And then, you know, we did our thing. And this isn't this other guy. This is quite recent. This is like a month ago. No, it's more than a month ago. And so from that point, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like really do the most. And I literally said to this guy, he was like, oh, I want to come over. Like, I want to spend the night. We don't have to do anything. If you say to me, we don't have to do anything, that you don't want sex, chances are I was willing to have sex with you, and then you said that, and I'm gonna make sure that we don't have sex because you're a lying little fuckwit. Like, I get so, like, don't initiate a lie. Anyway, I was like, yeah, that's okay, like, we won't. You can just come over, you can stay the night, we won't have sex. He comes over, we're like talking, and after he tells me, oh, he has to get up early in the morning, I don't care what you have to do in the morning, I don't want you here either. I honestly wanted to have sex, and now I'm getting, you know, back at you for initiating multiple lies for no goddamn reason, and I think very little of you. If you just were like, hey, I want to, like, come over and have sex with you, I think you're really hot, I think you're really funny, I think you're really cool, and I'm pretty hot too, so, like, do you want to have sex? And then I'd be like, yeah, I do want to have sex. Come over, we'll have sex, you can leave, and we'll go about our day, because you probably are not someone I want to spend my life with. But no, men, for some reason, want to talk shit. So he's like, I want to come stay the night, we don't have to do anything, we don't have to have sex, I'm not expecting sex, that's not even what I want, baby, like, no. So I'm like, okay, Okay, you want to stay over? You want to talk? You want to look after me? You want to not have sex? Okay. So we get into my bedroom. Now, you probably can't tell, but I like to do full fantasy. There's like pink lighting. I have a few fragrances going. It's just a whole vibe, some candles lit. It's like full fantasy, okay? You can't get it anywhere else. So it's really nice. My bed's really comfy, and I'm like in my robe, like, oh, yeah, it's so lovely to meet you. Good thing you're not just using me for sex. So anyway, I start sucking his dick, and I should just make this into another video, but I am kind of changing my channel into a different direction, so I'll just tell this story now. I may do a separate video about him exclusively and everything I fucking hate about him and why I'm like putting him through the ringer for what he thinks is no apparent reason. Anyway, I'm you know, playing it cute, and I'm like, oh, you know, okay, and then he like kisses me, and I'm like, oh, you're kissing me. I had no idea that things were gonna go this way. I thought you just wanted to stay over and, you know, hang out. Anyway, I take my robe off, I'm completely naked, and we're making out. I start sucking his dick, and he's like, I want to fuck you. And I'm like, no. And he's like, no, I want to fuck you. And I'm like, no. And he didn't like that because he went soft straight away, which brings up a few actual concerns for me, because he was like, I don't like hearing no. And I'm like, you have issues. But anyway, so we're still like laying on my bed, and he's like hard again, and we do our thing. You guys don't need to know that, but you know, you can fill in the blanks. It gets to the point where we're just laying on my bed again, is what I'm saying. And he's like, you know, like, I should probably go. And I'm like, you said you were gonna stay. Like, no, like, I want you to stay. I don't want him to stay at all. Like, no thanks. I never wanted this. You're the one that started this lie. Like, does anybody else experience this, where men initiate lies for no reason? Anyway, I'm not gonna harp on about that. You guys know how I feel. But anyway, I just, like, keep telling him I want him to stay, knowing damn well he can't stay anyway. He has nothing with him other than the clothes on his back. So, like, that's not gonna work. And, you know, if he called my bluff, I'd be shit out of luck, because I'd be like, great, now I have to share my bed with this dork. He was cute enough that had he not been an absolute fuckwit, I would continue to see him and would actually have sex with him. But, that's that. I gave you more stories than I should have. I rampaged? I rambled on, as always, about my issue with men, and one man in particular, and the similarities that a lot of men have, but why you would initiate a lie, I still don't understand. And it's like gonna give me, like, you know, on The Simpsons when Homer Simpson gets those goiters from like being so angry, like, that's what that does to me. Anyway, you guys don't care. You probably didn't care about any of this video. If you're still watching, if anyone's still watching, thank you so much. I do really appreciate it. Check out my Instagram, jolene.dawson. Please like the video and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot with keeping my lights on, but also making more videos and knowing what kind of stuff you guys want. Comment, let me know what kind of videos you want. I will be making a few business-focused videos, because that's what I'm good at, that's what I know. I'm pretty good at making money. Not always good at... I'm also really good at spending money, is sometimes the problem. But I'm gonna kind of split up my content, do some business stuff, do some personal stuff, do all of that, because that's kind of what I'm about. So please like and subscribe. Check out my Instagram. Let me know about your issues with men. Or women. Hey, or women. Can't point the fingers at one without the other. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you again in the next video.